Uh, I was a helicopter pilot in the Army. I went to Princeton. I'm wearing a Princeton t-shirt. I was a wrestler. And then I became a finance guy, first at Goldman Sachs, learning about the markets, then at a company called Fortress. And now I run a big cryptocurrency investment bank, among other things.
Wow. So you just like came out the canal a boss. You've done so much, dude. Like that's crazy. I didn't even know that you were in the Army. First of all, how was that?
The Army was really interesting in that, I went from Northern Virginia to Alabama. We called it UCLA, the ugly corner of lower Alabama. And it was right after the movie Top Gun came out. And,
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
My favorite, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but my favorite part of that movie is when the master sergeant or whatever, he's like, "You're writing checks your body can't cash." Yeah. I love that. Anyway, sorry, please continue.
We knew every line from that movie because we're down 700 guys at flight school playing Tom Cruise. And so if you weren't scared to fly helicopters, which I wasn't, it was a ton of fun. The academics weren't that difficult because I'd been through Princeton, which is actually hard. And so for me, flight school was fun. It was mostly a cultural thing, living in the South, seeing racism, in my face. Like there was subtle racism in the North, but you didn't notice it as a middle-class white guy.
Yeah.
Now I look back and said, okay, there was racism, but I didn't notice it. But in the South, you couldn't miss it.
Yeah.
And so it was a real interest. It was like going back 25, 30 years. In the 1980s, it felt like the 1950s. The crazy part is if you go back there now, it still feels like the 1950s.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. There's just some parts of this world, man, that have kind of never changed since the beginning of time, when it comes to classism and elitism and racism. And it's kind of sad, but on a lighter note, I'm actually really curious. So I know that you had been a businessman and you were killing the game. And then in like the financial crisis of 2008, I believe, everyone took a hit. So after that, I'm just curious, what is it that got you into crypto? How could you see the vision and then, build back whatever may have been lost during that recession?
Yeah, a little bit's luck. Always, like life is a lot about luck, being in the right seat at the right time.
Yeah,
somebody called me up and asked me to look into Bitcoin, and the type investing I did is called macroeconomic investing, and it's trying to see the trends in the world. It's taking the politics, the economics, putting it together, and it's a lot of pattern recognition. It's seeing what's going to happen. And so when I started reading about Bitcoin, I was like, wow, we had a crisis in 2008 and then one in 2012 in Europe, to kind of replay the financial crisis, where people really lost faith in the government, lost faith in banks, were really scared that the biggest banks in America and Europe were going out of business.
Wow.
People thought JP Morgan might go out of business. And what does that mean? And so that panic, Bitcoin was created really as a response to that. And so I was like, wow, cool new technology. There's lots of people that think there's going to be hyperinflation because the Fed is printing money. There are these cypherpunks that say, screw the world, we're going to kind of do our own thing. There are libertarians that, believe in freedom. And the Chinese were buying it. Whenever the Chinese buy, it's worth buying. And so I bought it really kind of as a speculative thing. I'm just going to buy it because I think it's going to go up. And it wasn't until a couple years later where I really realized that at its core, it's a goddamn revolution.
Wow.
A buddy of mine, Joe Lubin, runs a company called Consensus. I went into his office and I saw these young and old people planning on how they're going to rebuild in a fair, more egalitarian way the financial architecture of the country, how they're going to revolutionize the music business, how they're going to revolutionize art business. They were talking about NFTs back in 2014.
That's insane.
How in every banking exchanges, how we're going to cut out the rent takers. And it's generational, right? If you think about my generation, actually the guys older than me, the baby boomers, they've polluted the goddamn planet. There's plastic rivers, right? We got global warming, and they've run up so much debt that you'll never be able to pay it back. So we have these giant deficits. And I think Gen Z and millennials were like, screw that.
Yeah.
This is our thing because we're never going to be able to pay all that debt back. And so it really was a young person's revolution. At its core, people saying we want to make the world more fair and more transparent. Now, a lot of crypto bros and Lambos and YOLOs and, a lot of fraud around that revolution.
Yeah.
But at its core, the people that are building it really are righteous son of a bitches.
So I have a question. When you talk about pattern recognition, right, which is like a real thing, I mean, that's almost like AI finance, to be able to do that. How do you feel about somebody like, well, I mean, not necessarily personally, but Elon being able to manipulate that and kind of change the pattern here and there with a tweet? I mean, do you think that's a real thing?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to start a beef right now. I'm just curious.
No, listen, on the one hand, I'm a big investor in SpaceX. Elon's the entrepreneur of the generation, right? He's the man of the moment. And he's smart and thoughtful. There's an immaturity in him that I think is just not helpful for the crypto world, right? Like, he likes the attention. He likes the, talking about cum rocket or, come on, guy.
Yeah.
You run four of the best companies in the world. What are you doing? And I don't think it's helpful if it's Dogecoin. Listen, what crypto taught me in a really interesting way is value was always created by a community of people around something. So think about Picasso paintings. How many people in the world do you think can afford a Picasso? Not that many. So there's a small community of people that decide Picasso is worth 13 million a painting or 20 million a painting. Bitcoin was the first ever digital version where we created magic internet money. So this community came together around this idea. Now there are 150 million people that own a Bitcoin, right? Well, it also taught people that we can create these communities around other things, right? Dogecoin, there's a purpose to it, right? It's bros, it's speculative, it's nihilistic, it's, screw the system, let's be funny, it's memes. So that's a community. Is it in the long run sustainable? I don't know. What I've been surprised at is how resilient these communities are. But they're communities, you probably have a giant fan community, and pretty soon people are going to issue fan tokens, and those tokens are going to be brought into your universe. And maybe if they own enough tokens, they'll get a meet and greet, or they'll get early access to your next, album after you come out of retirement.
Yeah, man. No, I love it. And I love your mentality on it. You know what I also really love and appreciate about you is sure, I know about crypto, but I'm not a genius. I just kind of trust the people around me to do my best to make the right decisions. But I love that the way you're explaining this is in such a, it's just a beautiful way. It's like, don't you hate like a professor or, somebody who's really great at something and they're almost talking down to people like who don't get it, or somebody raises their hand to ask a question and they're treated like they're stupid. The way you are describing finance and, specifically cryptocurrency is really beautiful, man, because you can see the passion that you have. And it's also just amazing that you just want to educate people, which is why I was happy to do this and, kind of open the doors to my fans who are watching, so that they may learn and be excited about it as well. I do have a question. What is it like that you think? Oh, okay. It's kind of crazy to some people that you could take something that's made of ones and zeros, binary, and then it could be worth so much money. And like you said, right, with the Picasso thing, we kind of dictate that. But who the hell is we? Really, who is we? How does that work?
That's the beauty of what's happened. So think about back in the way old days with gold. Gold, if you're the ancient Egyptians or the Aztecs down in South America, the Incas, they thought gold was blessed by the gods. And they said this magic metal is going to be value. I'm going to trade it for a back massage or for you building my house, and it's going to become this store of value. And so it's a social contract, a social construct. So Bitcoin itself, the technology, the one thing to remember about the technology, which was cool, is it was the first digital signature you couldn't counterfeit. All that craziness of reading the white paper, and that's what I boiled it down to. And so that meant we could have digital money because it could be scarce. If I said there are 21 million, there are only 21 million because you can't counterfeit it, right? And so that was a profound concept, but it would have been worth nothing if a group of people didn't start saying, hey, there's value in that. And so the value of Bitcoin isn't the Bitcoin code. It's this social construct. It's valuable because we say it's valuable.
That's crazy though.
It's crazy. And so there's enough people. There's somebody in every village of the world telling the Bitcoin story, right? It's in every single village of the world. I have people come up to me in the street and say, dude, are you the CEO of Bitcoin? And I was like, I wish, but
I
no.
know, that's kind of awesome. I mean, you kind of are.
But there's so many people. I get run over by a car, and there's Michael Saylor, and there's lots of people telling the story and bringing people into the tent. And so, if you were using harsh language, you say, well, it sounds like a Ponzi. But everything that's valuable is some form of a Ponzi. It's valuable because we bring more people in to buy it.
Wow.
And we convince people that there's some value in it. It wouldn't be so valuable if our governments weren't screwing off so much and just printing money like it's toilet paper, right? And there have been
that is kind of scary. That it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna print like $5 trillion. Like, what do you mean? Like what? So that's the kind of thing. That's the thing that I do kind of like about, or no, that I love about Bitcoin is, I mean, that's kind of it. And speaking on that, and I'm sorry, I hope I didn't interrupt you. I just have this question I've been wanting to ask, and I don't want to forget it and look like an idiot. Can you explain mining Bitcoin to people who might not understand that? How is it a thing? What is it? Is it still a thing? Can you explain that to people who have no idea?
Yeah, sure. So the way Bitcoin lives on a thing called a blockchain, right? A blockchain is a database. So think of it like it's a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, but it's a spreadsheet that you've got a copy of, that I've got a copy of, and then everyone that runs a Bitcoin node has a copy of. And so in the old days, let's say we're playing poker, me and you, and you're keeping the tally, and I go to take a piss, and you erase it and come back and dude, you owe me $72. And I'm like, I thought you owed me money.
Yeah.
Like, no, it says it right here on the spreadsheet. And I'm like, I guess so. Right. So if 10,000 people have that spreadsheet, you can't cheat, right? It's there for good. And so imagine a spreadsheet that's shared by 10,000 different people, 10,000 different nodes, or 40,000 different nodes, that every 10 minutes, boom, gets a new a layer put on top of it, a new block they call. These blocks basically are the history of all the transactions that get done. 10 minutes more, another block gets put on. And so if anyone wanted to try to change the fact that I wired you $50, there's way too much data on top of it to ever get to that, right? And so how does that whole system work? It works by a series of miners. These are big, giant computers or little computers that are processing these mathematical equations that aren't complicated but take a lot of computing power to randomly get Bitcoins. And it's this mining apparatus that secures the Bitcoin database, right? The blockchain is a database. And so what's cool about it is, let's say I bought a house from you, and let's say that was put on the Bitcoin database, and then, someone takes over our country and you steal my house, and years later, my grandkids think that's actually our house. It says it right there in the database. You can't erase it.
Yeah.
And this had people say, well, that's a shitty story. Listen, in Libya, when Gaddafi took over Libya, he took all the property deeds and he went into the town square and he burned them in a big flame. He said, it's all mine.
Wow.
And all the people that had these houses didn't have any right to the house. There was no record that it was their house. And so this idea of permanence on a blockchain is really, really important. And so the miners actually secure the blockchain. Now it's profitable, because if you're mining and you get a Bitcoin, it might only cost you $8,000 or $9,000 to mine a Bitcoin. The Bitcoin are worth $40,000 right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And so people set up mining all over. We have a big mining operation.
Wow.
Now, like any other commodity, at one point when everyone tries to do it, it gets harder and harder to find the coins.
No, of course. Just like when everyone's like, hey, Bitcoin's a thing, and everybody wants to buy it, then it obviously goes up, so you can't get it at what it was, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm curious, so literally every Bitcoin transaction ever is on a database somewhere in the ethos?
Every single one. and it's easy.
Even the guys who like might have like bought guns with it. I'm just kidding.
100%. Matter of fact, the FBI is realizing, they used to say, oh my God, Bitcoin is so bad because the criminals can use it. Now they're saying Bitcoin is so good because we can track all these transactions.
Yeah, it's paperless too. That's the thing. It's not like two guys can meet up in a warehouse somewhere. Even though I would say, yeah, I mean they would do their best not to leave a binary paper trail, if you will. But I agree with you. I mean, that's a really great. I never really thought about it that way. That's crazy.
Yeah, one of the agents was telling us. He said it's almost like I'm flying a plane with perfect vision, and I see two guys passing bills back and forth in a dark alley. Like we have perfect vision on it. And there are these companies like Chainalysis, CipherTrace, that actually do all this work for the government. And so, you're going to see less and less criminals use Bitcoin because they get caught.
Where do you see, I mean, this is like the stupidest question because nobody can, but where do you see the market? Where do you see, crypto being in 5 years, let alone, I know 6 months, right? But in the grand vision of it, I mean, do you walk into Macy's and they're taking, Bitcoin? Like, how do you feel?
So, when I think about crypto, it's a big ecosystem. It goes from Bitcoin on the one hand to what we call DeFi, decentralized finance, how banks are gonna get replaced by these peer-to-peer systems, and to NFTs, right?
Yeah.
And to payment coins. So I don't think we're going to start buying, Logic DVDs. People don't buy DVDs anymore, unfortunately. Our T-shirts or McDonald's hamburgers with Bitcoin. We're going to do them with the dollar as long as the dollar doesn't completely shit the bed, right? And so, but we're going to do them with a digital dollar and not like a Venmo dollar, like a crypto dollar. So they're going to be called central bank issued digital currencies or stable coins. Those things are going to run on blockchains. China's producing one, the US producing one. And so in 3 to 4 years, you're going to, instead of having a bank account, you're going to have a wallet, right? You're going to have a crypto wallet, and your tickets to the concert are going to be on it. Your Bitcoin's going to be on it. Your dollars are going to be on it. And you're going to flip it to people when you walk into place.
So you think there will come a time when there will be no more paper money?
Yeah. I mean, they'll probably keep it around longer than they should because you don't want to disenfranchise people. But we'll go to where 90% of transactions are happening in this digital world.
How advanced do you think security would be regarding? Because if banks are damn near obsolete, right, and you don't really need to walk in to go anywhere, do whatever the case may be, what about hackers? What about people being able to access a wallet that could have $15 million in it? You know what I mean? Like that's a scary thought.
Yeah. So we're in the custody business. I think for mom and dad retail people, right, the normal person, they're going to carry a lot of their wealth on their phone. It'll be backed up. They won't have it all on, right? You'll have the stuff you're going to normally.
Oh, just like an account. Exactly.
Like an account. And the rest will be in what's called custody or cold storage. So it's off the internet and it sits, where we can then access it and pull it back up. But there's going to be all kinds of advances in biometric security. How do you make sure it's your stuff? And, banks get hacked. Insurance companies get hacked. Bitcoin's impossible to hack. The organizations that move Bitcoin around can get hacked, right? So you've read in the past that these exchanges got hacked. Bitcoin, the code itself, is really unhackable. And so as long as security is put in place to make sure all of your coins aren't in one place at one time, all of your wealth isn't, people starting to feel pretty safe.
No, I get that. What are your thoughts on Ethereum?
I love Ethereum. Listen, I think Bitcoin has really won this idea of being digital gold. Ethereum wants to be Web 3.0, another giant database, but it's a database not only that we can put stuff on, but we can program on. And so we can have contracts, smart contracts on it. We can have, you name it, you can code on top of the database. That allows an amazing array of things to happen, right? all of a sudden you have smart money. I'm sending instant settlement to things. Usually, you want to wire me money, it takes you 3 days, right? If I'm living in the UK, or if I'm going to pay for a contract, even in the Federal Reserve System, it takes a long time. And so this is going to allow kind of instant settlement of things. You're going to build, the NFT world is going to happen on top of Ethereum. And so, let's assume you do a great painting. Logic goes from music to painting, and he does this cool NFT, and you sell it for $10,000, or you sell it for 1 Bitcoin, $40,000. You could program into that NFT that every time it gets sold for more, you get 10% of that difference, or 10% of that difference goes to your favorite charity.
Wait a second. Wait. What?
Yeah.
Wait, what, bro? So you're basically telling me that's like going to Vegas and betting $1 on black, and then every time that chip goes anywhere in the casino and makes money, I make $1?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, think about this. Let's assume you're I got this friend, Chase Hall, right? He's this young black artist. He's badass, and he's starting to blow up.
Wow.
And so his paintings were $5,000 to $10,000 a year ago. And dealers will come in and say, I know, because I have a good eye, that guy is going to be somebody one day. He already knows he's going to be somebody, buddy. So they're going to buy 8 of his paintings for $5,000 each. 10 years from now, those paintings worth $1 million. The current system, that fat cat dealer gets to sell them for $1 million each, and Chase is kind of left with the $5,000 per painting he got.
Yeah.
So how about, I'll sell you the painting for $5,000. Each time it sells in the future, if it goes from $5,000 to $50,000 on that $45,000 difference, I get 15%.
So it's a real percentage. So basically, if it was sold for say $100,000, right? Now
he'd get his 50. If it was 15%, he'd get his 15,000.
But the person who bought it and then sold it, is that 15% automatically deducted and taken to him, and then they're left with the remainder?
Yeah,
that's how it works. Wow, that is awesome.
But you could. It might be 3%. It might be 30%.
Yeah. It's whatever you want. Yeah.
You program it in. It might.
Now would you need to? I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Would you need to make? Is that kind of a part of the deal that you would while selling it, you would say, oh, mandatory 15% of all my paintings are taken out, or blah blah blah?
It's in the contract when you start. So a lot of the NFTs that are being done have things like that. NBA Top Shop, every time one of those cards trades, a dividend goes to the NBA, right? Wow. And so the more trading, the better for the customer. And so why does that stuff happen? Because this group of people that were building this system said, hey, musicians, artists, creative, often got screwed, right? They weren't caring as much as they should have about their deals they got.
I'm still getting screwed. So
I mean, listen, how did your business work, right? Young guy starts blowing up on TikTok. Record label finds him and says, dude, we're gonna make you a star. Here's $200,000. We own 80% of your freaking next 4 albums.
And they're already a star. And it's just like, if they had the knowledge or the people around them, they could have done it all independently anyway. It's kind of crazy. And
so that's going to happen. There's projects coming out where you're going to start, instead of raising that $200,000 from Republic Records, you're going to crowdsource it through a token from the fans that you already have, right? Republic's only showing up there because the kid's already he's blowing up on TikTok. You're going to send out to TikTok, hey, you guys want to buy 10% of the next Logic? They're going to buy 10% of the next Logic, and when Logic blows up, those kids are going to do well. They're going to make money. Now, how about this?
That's amazing.
Now you've got fans that are also equity owners. So what are they going to do? They're going to call every one of their goddamn friends and say, dude, you got to check out Logic. He is blowing up, right? And so you're using this token to create this viral marketing organization. They do that already. Imagine how much they'll do it when they're incented to do it, when they're paid.
Yeah, wow.
Because they're your equity shareholders. So your fans are going to become your equity shareholders. That's where this whole thing is going. in the music world, in the art world. And so when people think, oh, they understand NFTs, they don't know shit yet. Like the NFT market, we haven't had the national anthem, let alone the first pitch of the first inning of the baseball game. It's just getting started.
Do you drink alcohol?
Too much, but I've stopped. I'm on, this is my third day I'm not drinking. I decided I'm not drinking for a week.
Wow. Well, I've drank every day for like 2 months. I love scotch. And what's your drink of choice? What do you like?
Well, I drink a lot of Jack Daniels.
Oh, Jack Daniels. That's dope. Anyway, I bring this up because I want to get you wasted and have the best conversation with you and steal all your secrets one day. But what I really mean by that is I'd love to talk to you sometime. I know you're a very busy man, but whether it's on the phone or a Zoom call, just me and you, man, I'd love to pick your brain because, you know, when I talk to you and when I hear you speak, it makes me think about how things are changing. And like you say, like when you're talking about the scratching the surface, like I really believe that. And I believe that I could learn a lot from you. And I believe that I have learned a lot from you today and our viewers have as well. And I don't know, man. I just like really want to learn more from you personally. I hope that's not weird.
Not at all. I mean, you know, listen, we'll bring you up to the, I got a house in Amagansett. I love music.
Amagansett, where the hell is that? That sounds like a sci-fi farm.
It's out in the Hamptons. It's like the last.
Oh, the Hamptons, darling. Come out to the Hamptons.
And I built an underground like speakeasy where you can drink scotch and bourbon.
You're joking.
I built a speakeasy. Yeah.
You built your own speakeasy?
I did. It's one of the benefits of being rich.
Yeah, true. That's like, but you hella rich though.
It's like Batman and Robin stuff.
Let me ask you a question, actually, because I know, you know, we're doing like 30 minutes or whatever, but I'm curious. So when you got your kind of money, right? Would you say that the things you enjoy doing for fun change, or do you find yourself still amused and enjoying things you did when you didn't have this much money?
You know, I don't think I have more fun rich than I did poor. I was never real poor, but I was a middle-class kid from Virginia. I was in the Army. I had a ton of fun as a helicopter pilot. And for me, it's friends, it's music, it's sports, it's friends, less and less sports as I get older, but it's parties. I spend a ton of time, money, and effort throwing big parties. It's getting, you know, I'm a hyper social person. What I've learned, though, the funnest part about being rich is giving your money away. And every time I've given my money away, if it's supporting youth wrestling or jazz musicians or criminal justice reform, it comes back in spades. Like the coolest shit I've done in my life. I walked in the opening ceremonies of the Olympics with Kobe Bryant. I was waving like this, dressed as a U.S. Olympian, because I was literally a charitable donator to building youth wrestling up. And the guys asked me if I'd be the team leader, like the honorary coach.
What a moment.
Like, yes.
Yeah, that's incredible. No, but I agree, man. Like, I ain't got money like you got money, but I got money. You know what I'm saying? And and I really have given a lot of it back, and I've helped people personally in my life and people I've never even met. And yeah, man, I think that giving is the most important thing. It really is. And when I was young, I was super poor, and I mean, like nothing. Like I didn't have anything, and I was kind of selfish. Like as a teenager, I was the kind of guy that was like, oh, if there's 2 cookies left, like I'm taking both the cookies, like because I didn't have anything. And then I realized that not just money, right? Even before I got came into money and working hard, if I just gave things, if I just gave my time, if I was like, no, you take the cookie, like you got it. I just noticed that things kind of came back to me, which is really crazy. And I think this is like a really great way to kind of end this hangout with. It's like, it's not about the money, even though it's nice. It's about the time. It's about the people around us. It's about friends and family and opportunity, because time is one thing we can't buy. And we're blessed enough to have had the time that we have, and hopefully we'll continue to have more. So I just want to say thank you so much for just being a nice guy, man, being a fucking cool dude. You know, you're not all some tight ass guy taking himself too seriously. You're cool, man. You get the rat pass, bro.
I love the rat pass. Thanks so much, Logic. I love what you're doing. And so listen, I'm gonna bring you up to Amagansett at one point. You can spin tunes in the and spit
In the
songs.
speakeasy. I'll rap in your speakeasy. Don't tempt me. But I got a big fee though. I don't know if you can afford me. I'm kidding. I'm joking. It's a joke.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Yep. Be well.
Peace out.